I, 32M, never thought I'd be writing this kind of post, but here I am. What started as a normal Thursday evening turned into the worst night of my life, followed by weeks of chaos that I'm still trying to process. I was supposed to get married next month. The venue was booked, invitations sent, and everything was falling into place. My fiancée and I had been together for 4 years, living together for 2, and I honestly thought we were happy. Well, I guess I was the only one who thought that. That Thursday, I got out of work early and decided to surprise her by picking her up from her weekly book club meeting. She'd been going to these meetings every Thursday for the past 6 months at her friend's house across town. I never questioned it because, why would I? We trusted each other. Or at least I trusted her. When I pulled up to her friend's house, her car wasn't there. Strange, I thought, but maybe they carpooled. I called her phone, but it went straight to voicemail. That's when I remembered she had shared her location with me permanently after a hiking incident last year. I checked it, and my stomach dropped. She was at a hotel 15 minutes away. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, but was probably just minutes, trying to convince myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe it was a surprise bridal shower planning meeting? But deep down, I knew. I drove to the hotel, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The hotel wasn't anything fancy, just your standard highway-side establishment. I parked and walked into the lobby, feeling like I was in some kind of nightmare. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I just knew I had to see it for myself. That's when I saw them walking out of the elevator, my fiancé and a guy I recognized from her office. They were laughing, his hand on her lower back, and she was fixing her hair. They didn't see me at first, and I just stood there, frozen, watching as my entire future crumbled before my eyes. When she finally noticed me, the color drained from her face. She stopped dead in her tracks, and the guy quickly removed his hand from her back. The look of panic in her eyes told me everything I needed to know. "It's not what you think," she stammered, but we all knew that was a lie. I didn't say a word. I just turned around and walked out. She ran after me, grabbing my arm in the parking lot, crying and making a scene. The guy hung back by the hotel entrance, looking uncomfortable, as he should. "Please, let me explain," she begged. "It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." I pulled my arm away and asked, "How long?" She started crying harder. "Only a few months. I was going to end it, I swear. The wedding is so close, and I realized I cut her off. "The wedding is off. Don't follow me." The next few days were a blur. I moved into a hotel and blocked her number, but she found ways to contact me. She showed up at my workplace. She sent her friends to talk to me. They all had the same message. She made a mistake. The wedding is so close. Think about all the money already spent. Think about the families. I stayed firm in my decision. I contacted all the vendors to cancel, sent messages to my side of the guest list explaining that the wedding was off, and tried to process what had happened. But her friends wouldn't let up. They kept showing up everywhere, becoming more aggressive with each encounter. The breaking point came when I was leaving work late one evening. 3 of her friends cornered me in the parking garage. What started as them trying to talk sense into me quickly escalated when I refused to listen. One of them shoved me, then another threw a punch. I defended myself as best I could, but it was 3 against 1. Security cameras caught everything, and I had bruises and a split lip to show for it. That's when I decided enough was enough. The next morning, I went straight to the police station with the security footage. The officer who took my statement seemed skeptical at first. I guess they don't often see male victims of assault coming forward. But the footage spoke for itself. Clear as day, it showed them attacking me without provocation. I pressed charges for assault, and the police took it seriously once they saw the evidence. Within days, all 3 of them were arrested. My ex-fiancée went ballistic when she found out, blowing up my email with angry messages about how I was ruining her friends' lives. She conveniently forgot to mention how they tried to ruin mine. That's when things got even messier. Their families started calling my workplace, trying to get me fired by making up stories about me. My ex-fiancée's father, who I once respected, showed up at my apartment building. The security guard had to escort him out when he wouldn't stop yelling in the lobby. It was like everyone had lost their minds. I hired a lawyer to handle the assault case and also to deal with the harassment. The wedding venue was refusing to refund our deposit because of the late cancellation, but once my lawyer got involved and explained the circumstances, including the evidence of her infidelity, they agreed to return most of the money. The district attorney took the assault case seriously. The security footage was damning. It showed them clearly waiting for me, the confrontation, and the attack. There was no way to spin it as a misunderstanding or claim self-defense. My ex's friends started to realize they were in serious trouble. That's when the pleading started. First came the apologetic messages from their parents. Then their lawyers reached out to mine, trying to negotiate. They offered to pay for my medical bills and additional compensation if I dropped the charges. I refused. This wasn't about money. It was about consequences. My ex-fiancée showed up at my hotel one night, completely drunk. She was crying about how I was being vindictive, how I was destroying multiple lives just because she made one mistake. I recorded the entire interaction on my phone as she got more and more hysterical. The hotel staff eventually had to remove her from the premises. The next day, she tried to spin the story on social media, painting me as the villain. She posted a long, dramatic message about how I was using the legal system to get revenge for a simple relationship issue. What she didn't expect was for the guy she cheated with to come forward. He messaged me privately first, expressing his guilt. Turned out my ex had told him she was single when they first got together, and by the time he found out about me, she had convinced him that we were practically separated. He offered to make a public statement about her lies. I accepted his offer, not for revenge, but because I was tired of being painted as the bad guy. He posted his side of the story, including screenshots of early conversations where she claimed to be single. The truth finally started coming out. Her friend's assault case went to court. They tried to claim it was just a heated argument that got out of hand, but the footage didn't lie. Their lawyers advised them to plead guilty to get a lighter sentence. 2 of them took the deal. The third, the one who threw the first punch, decided to fight it. The trial was surprisingly quick. The evidence was clear, and several witnesses from my workplace testified about the ongoing harassment leading up to the assault. The judge wasn't impressed by the defense's argument that they were just trying to help their friend. All 3 ended up with jail time. The 2 who took the plea deal got 6 months, while the third got 18 months. They also got restraining orders preventing them from coming near me or my workplace. Their jobs were also gone, all because they couldn't accept that their friend's actions had consequences. My ex-fiancée's reaction to the sentencing was explosive. She created multiple social media accounts to harass me after I blocked her main ones. She even tried to claim that I had somehow orchestrated the whole thing, setting up her friends to attack me. Nobody believed her anymore. The guy she cheated with provided even more evidence of her manipulation. Apparently, she had been playing victim to both sides, telling him I was abusive while telling her friends I was the one who had betrayed her. The web of lies finally collapsed completely. I'm writing this now from my new apartment in a different part of the city. I've changed my phone number, my email, and my routines. The whole experience taught me a lot about who my real friends are. Many mutual friends chose sides, and I was surprised by who stood by me and who didn't. The wedding money that was refunded? I used it to take a solo trip abroad, something I'd always wanted to do, but she had always dismissed as a waste of time. It was the most freeing experience of my life, helping me realize that sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best changes. Last I heard, my ex-fiancée moved back in with her parents after most of her friends distanced themselves from her. The guy she cheated with blocked her on everything after she tried to blame him for the whole situation. Her friends are serving their sentences, their careers and relationships in tatters. People keep telling me I went too far, that pressing charges was excessive. But I disagree. I didn't make them attack me. I didn't make them choose violence. They made their own choices, and now they're facing the consequences. Sometimes the right path isn't the easy one. The aftermath of everything has been interesting, to say the least. It's been 6 months since the sentencing, and I'm still getting messages from people involved, though now they're very different in tone. One of the friends who took the plea deal wrote me a letter from jail. It was surprisingly sincere. She talked about how the time inside has made her realize how stupid and entitled their actions were. She apologized not just for the assault, but for the months of harassment leading up to it. I haven't responded, but I appreciate that at least someone is showing genuine remorse. My ex-fiancée's family, who were so quick to attack me initially, have done a complete 180-degree change. Her mother sent me a long email apologizing for their behavior and revealing that they've finally seen their daughter's true colors. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she manipulated situations and people, just the first time she faced real consequences for it. The funny thing is, all of this drama actually led to some positive changes in my life. Remember that solo trip I mentioned? While I was traveling, I met some amazing people who helped me realize how toxic my relationship had been, even before the cheating. My ex had always subtly controlled everything. Where we went, who we saw, how we spent our money. I just hadn't seen it clearly until I got away. I also reconnected with old friends my ex had slowly pushed out of my life. One of them offered me a job opportunity in his growing company, which I took. The new role has better pay, better hours, and actually appreciates my skills. Sometimes I wonder if I would have ever made these positive changes if I hadn't caught her that day at the hotel. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. The third friend, the one who got 18 months, has apparently been telling everyone who'll listen that she's going to get even when she gets out. My lawyer advised me to document everything and be prepared to extend the restraining order. It's frustrating that some people never learn. The guy my ex cheated with occasionally updates me on things he learns about her new schemes. She's tried to spin various versions of our story in different social circles, but it keeps backfiring as people find out the truth. Last month, she tried to join a local community group I'm part of, probably to cause drama, but they quietly rejected her application after checking her references. I've started dating again, casually. It's different this time. I'm more aware of red flags, more confident in setting boundaries. The woman I'm seeing now actually encourages my independence and has her own full life. It's refreshing to be in a relationship that adds to my life instead of trying to control it. My ex's friend's jail time is almost up for the two who took the plea deal. People keep asking if I'm worried about retaliation, but honestly, I'm not. The consequences they faced weren't just legal. Their actions cost them their jobs, their reputations, and many of their relationships. I doubt they'll risk losing anything else. What's really interesting is how this situation has changed my perspective on standing up for yourself. Before all this, I was the kind of person who would try to keep the peace at any cost. Now I realize that sometimes you have to let things get uncomfortable to get to a better place. The wedding venue that initially refused the refund? They recently reached out to ask if they could use my case in their policy training. Apparently, they've updated their cancellation policy to include specific provisions for cases of infidelity. It's nice to know some good might come from this mess. I still get the occasional message from people calling me heartless for pressing charges, saying I should have just been the bigger person and let it go. But these same people never seem to consider what might have happened if I hadn't stood up for myself. Would the harassment have escalated further? Would more people have been hurt? The most valuable lesson I've learned from all of this is that you can't control other people's actions, but you can control how you respond to them. I didn't choose for my fiancée to cheat, or for her friends to attack me, but I did choose not to let them get away with it. I chose to stand up for myself, even when it would have been easier not to. As I write this final update, I'm sitting in my new apartment, planning another trip, and feeling more like myself than I have in years. The chaos and drama tested me, but it also showed me who I really am and what I'm capable of. To those who might find themselves in a similar situation, don't let anyone tell you that standing up for yourself is wrong. Don't let them convince you that keeping the peace is more important than your dignity or safety. Sometimes the hardest path is the right one, and sometimes the worst moments in our lives lead us exactly where we need to be. Edit. Since some people are asking, yes, all three of them now have criminal records that will follow them for life. Yes, this has affected their job prospects. No, I don't feel guilty about this. They made their choices, and choices have consequences. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.